Hello and welcome back to the channel today for another video. Today we are going to do the review of the first race of the 2018 F1 season, the Australian Grand Prix. Quite a few talking points to pick up from it. We're going to get to them in just a moment and go through the race itself. But to start with, once again, thank you very much for watching the video. If you do enjoy what you do watch here or are listening to, obviously, do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and comment below. I want to hear your comments on the race, the slightly controversial points of it that some people are bringing up, and who you thought was your driver of the day from the Australian Grand Prix this year. But we're going to start off with the new look for F1 before we get into the actual action itself. Obviously, we knew about the new logo already, which should be on your screen now as well. And obviously it came with the new setup as well for on the screen. And I've got to say, I don't know about you guys, but I actually quite liked it. It was a lot clearer. I liked when it came up saying about purple sectors, who'd set a new purple sector. And the battles, and it was showing even the steering input at one point and everything as well. So I quite liked it. It's good to see where it'll be going. And it looks different, it looks fresh, it looks new, and I like the look of it, and I hope you guys do as well from that. The second bit, though, is the halo, which we spoke about in the preview show. And oh my giddy aunt, do those camera angles look bad. Especially the one that's offset to the left or the right. Those camera angles with the halo look horrible. Absolutely horrible. The one above in the T camera, okay, you can still see enough of the car, but the ones slightly lower off to the side, no, they look just disgustingly wrong. And I hope they change that pretty soon. I don't see what's wrong with them putting a camera actually on the halo at the front, in front of the driver's head, making you look over the front wheels, over the front nose cone, and down to the track. I think that would be a pretty cool view to look at. The other part is in regards to, obviously we knew a little bit of this already from testing, but now we've seen it on the screens properly. The lack of ability to see the driver's helmet. It's side on, it's almost impossible to tell who's who. If it wasn't for the numbers in the car, you wouldn't know. You just really wouldn't know, and it must be so bad for those at trackside. It really must be. I don't know what they're thinking there. What I'd love to see is them paint the halo in the helmet colour. I think that would look pretty cool. But this is F1. It won't happen, so we just have to move on and deal with it. So we'll start with qualifying, and what a stunning lap that was from Lewis Hamilton to put it on pole. Nearly 7/10 quicker than Kimi Räikkönen in second. And I'm not going to dwell on this whole party mode button in any way. Not about the button itself, if it exists or doesn't. What I will say is, whether there is one or not, Hamilton was on fire with that lap. He was absolutely committed to every corner. What caught my attention was the cameraman couldn't pan quick enough in certain corners to keep up with him properly. It just looked planted. Absolutely stuck to the ground like Marmite would stick to your toast if it fell on the floor. It was just an absolutely brilliant lap from him, and really deserving a pole. His teammate Bottas, of course, stuffed it into the wall. Big impact, ripped half the 3 of the 4 corners off the car, ripped the whole back end off. Put him in 10th, 5th place penalty for a gearbox change and everything, no surprises there, and it just ruined his weekend, and that puts a bit of pressure on him. This year, it's another 1-year deal. That's not a good start. He's going to need to pick it up pretty quick. But the main talking point from qualifying was the comments by Hamilton afterwards towards Vettel. Having a joke and a laugh about that party mode. And Vettel said, what were you doing? And Hamilton basically says, I was waiting to put in a good lap. I wanted to wipe the smile off your face. And the social media went nuts. I was laughing so much at how bad some people were taking it. Okay, yes, you can see the comment might be a bit cheeky, rude, whatever, I don't know, however you want to word it. What got me is the amount of people giving Hamilton the hardest time in the world for saying it. where we moan so badly about drivers not having any sort of personality at all. That was got me. It's like, oh, they've not got personality, nobody cares, they're all just PR machines for the sponsors. And then Hamilton comes out with a bit of a cheeky comment, creates a bit of tension, creates a bit of, laughter, gets people thinking, and everyone's like, oh, it's terrible. Give it a break, people. You either want your drivers to try and spice things up or to try and have a personality in some way, shape or form, or you don't. They can all be like Nigel Mansell. No offence, Nigel. But anyway, it's enough about qualifying because that just wind me up. So we move on to the race itself, and I'll be honest, especially the second half of the race, it wasn't the greatest. It was okay, it wasn't terrible. I've seen a lot worse. Abu Dhabi last year was a snooze fest, and I mean that literally. I fell asleep. Everyone behaved at the start. Verstappen kind of got caught a little bit with Vettel coming across, taking the line into turn 1. Magnussen and the Haas just nipped round the outside and took 4th. An absolutely brilliant move. Very opportunistic from the Danish driver, and he took 4th. And we then seen Verstappen struggling to get back past, ragdolling that Red Bull. It looked like it was not enjoying the tyres very much at all. Sliding everywhere, he was opposite lock out of the corners, and then I think it was lap 6, he came out the fast chicane, ran over the curb, and you seen a couple of bits fly from underneath, and it did turn out he did damage the floor and the diffuser, and that was part of what caused him to spin a few laps later at turn 1, which cost him more positions, and it just wasn't a good race for the young Dutchman going through the race there, and he finished it down in 6th place by the end of it. Up front though, Hamilton was leading from Raikkonen, and the front two pulled away from Vettel in 3rd. At one point they were doing, had a good wee couple of second gap over the German. At one point, Sebastian himself said that the car's good, it's not perfect. He said that post-race eventually. And it was clear to see that during the race. He wasn't quick. He was quick enough, but he wasn't that quick in comparison to even his own teammate. Never mind Hamilton at one point in terms of lap pace. And obviously that's when Ferrari decided on an alternate strategy. Leave Vettel out, hoping for a safety car, which is something that has happened in previous years. And lo and behold, it came about, but oh my god, the reason for the safety car, the virtual safety car that came first, then the full safety car, the Haas team, oh my, I was gutted. They'd done so well. Magnussen was 4th, Grosjean was in 6th, and then 5th when Verstappen spun. It just, I was gutted. 2 pit stops back to back within a couple of laps of each other. Magnussen has to pull over, cross-threaded wheel nut on the left rear, wasn't on properly, cross-threaded and the car left. It was heartbreaking. And then for it to happen again 2 laps later with Grosjean on, this time on the front left. So it's not as if it was the same wheel, or in that way you could say it was maybe a problem with the gun. It was 2 separate wheels, albeit on the same side of the car, and it was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. They had done so well during the weekend. The car looked good, and they were on for double points easily, and it just ruined a good weekend. But hopefully we'll see them perform well again next time out in Bahrain. But the picture later on of Grosjean consoling the mechanic was touching. A really nice act there from the Frenchman, making sure the team was alright, but team effort. They got fined €5,000 each for the unsafe release, but they'll be more interested and more annoyed at losing a nice huge points total that they could have taken away from the first race. It was so heartbreaking. I really was gutted for that, so to speak. I apologise for using the Scottish word for that. But it led to this virtual safety car initially, and then a full safety car came from it. And this is what Ferrari were waiting for. And it allowed Vettel to jump Hamilton and keep the lead after the pit stop. Now, there's obviously been quite a lot of talk around that. The process itself of getting that advantage. I don't have a problem with that. It's the rules. Nobody's done anything. They've just exploited what was there. That's fine. I don't have the issue with that. What gets me, and there's something that I mentioned before when it's happened previous with other races, is this whole concept that the whole track is yellow for a dangerous situation. Yes, okay, this situation might be centred in one particular point of the track, but the whole track's yellow. Everyone's under a delta speed. They've got to slow down, prepare to stop, and all the rest of it. But when you come into the pit lane, once you hit the pit entrance, you're no longer on track, quotation marks being used, and you can gun it. And it's the same on the way out of pit lane. Even though you're technically on track, you're not past the white line and what is known as the second pit line at the end. And you can gun it all the way up to that point. You can do as fast as you like. Now, for me, the bit there is, how's that safe? The whole point of the safety car, the virtual safety car period, is the track is neutralised for safety reasons. So how can you class that as being safe? That's my argument. I've got no issue with how Vettel done it. All they done was just go to the rules. My issue is with the rule makers, personally, which is, if it's a safety period, that's why you neutralised it, how can you allow a driver to go flying up to the pit lane line before braking, and then fly out the pit lane until he reaches another line before he has to slow down? How's that safe? Quite answers to that in a postcard, please, if you can answer that one. And I'd love to hear your comments below, because it has caused quite a bit of controversy on social media. People thinking it's the Hamilton bias, and now it's Ferrari doing it. I've got no issue with how it's done. I don't care who wins. I just love the sport. Mine's is a safety issue, so tell me what you think below. Put comments below. After the safety car, the rest of the race was static. It was quite bland, the rest of the race. Showed off the aero dependency that these cars have, and as soon as they get within the dirty air and all of that turbulence behind the car in front, it's really hard for anyone to pass. And that was just showing. Hamilton was within a second most of the time. He then messed up, fell nearly 3 seconds back, and he gained back up within about 4 laps. But then when he got there, he couldn't do anything. Ricciardo was the same, hunting down Raikkonen. Ricciardo had got up to 4th by this point, benefiting from the 2 Haas cars coming out and his own teammates spinning. And then you watched, we had Alonso 5th, we had Verstappen in 6th, and you had Hülkenberg 7th, Bottas 8th, and none of them could get past each other out. It was just a train of cars going round and round and round. The only one that looked like passing was Ricciardo, but we know he's good in the brakes, but even then he couldn't. And we're not going to see changes to this massively until at least 2021, and that's obviously dependent on if they get the rules right. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but hopefully that was just a one-off. Hopefully a proper racetrack with wider, track positions like you get in Bahrain or in Shanghai, places like that, rather than a sort of what is a street track, which Albert Park is. Hopefully it'll be better, but it's frustrating. You've got cars that are able to follow and they can't pass, and it just looks stupid to me, if you want my opinion, but hey, there you go. So it was quite an easy run to the flag of in the sense for Vettel, as he took what was his 100th time reaching the podium, and he done it with the top step. So well done to the 4-time world champion. And he took the win from Hamilton in second, who'd backed off at the end to save the engine. Temperatures running high. Raikkonen held off for third, with Ricciardo 4th. Australia still waiting for a Australian driver to stand on the podium. Well, I say stand on the podium. Ricciardo did and then got disqualified, so about 4 years ago, so that doesn't count in this sense. But he finished 4th. Good recovery after the penalty he received, a grid penalty for being too quick under the red flag in free practice 2, which was a silly penalty in its own. Alonso coming home 5th. He was another one to benefit from the safety car period. Again, same situation applies. How's it safe racing up to a line? Caused a bit of controversy that, because Verstappen did cut in front of him, but they went back and it was decided that he was just a 10th ahead at that line point, so he got the place and then Verstappen couldn't get back through. Damage to the car from the earlier run over the curb in the spin, not helping the Dutchman, so he finished 6th. Hulkenberg had a solid race, nothing spectacular, came home in 7th, kept on the track, with Bottas getting from 15th to 8th, and as I say, it was a horrible weekend for the Finnish driver. A bit of pressure on him now moving forward. McLaren made it a double points finish, however, as well. Stoffel Van Dorn taking home 9th for the former world champions. And the top 10 rounded off by a nauseous Carlos Sainz in the Renault. The Spanish driver from around about, I think it was lap 12, had issues with his water bottle. It was basically constantly feeding water to the driver, and he ended up obviously basically drinking his entire water bottle almost before even half distance. And towards the end of the race, he was feeling nauseous. A whole stomach full of water, sloshing from side to side with G's, 3, 4, 5G, going around some of the corners. And he was not feeling good at all by the end. But he held off Sergio Perez in 11th. The Force Indias not looking too great there on that one. Esteban Ocon came home in 12th. He was a good 14 seconds behind his teammates, so not a good start for the Frenchman. But another driver there from the similar sort of area, Monaco rather than France itself, Charles Leclerc, 13th on his debut for the Sauber team. Solid weekend from the youngster, the current Formula 2 champion, and he went about his business pretty well. He's learning quickly, and as I said in the preview, he's going to be a good driver. He's going to be around for a while, so it's a decent start for him there. Lance Stroll, disappointing weekend for Williams. He came home 14th, and Brendan Hartley rounded out the finishers in 15th. He was a lap down. He had a lock up into turn 1, flat spotted the tyre, had to come in and change it, then had a puncture as well, put him a lap down. He got the lap back at the safety car, and then they started the race with him still 30 seconds from the start line, which was a bit unfair, but there you go, what can you do? The retirees, we already know about the Haas drivers. Grosjean and Magnussen went 2 laps each due to cross-threaded wheel nuts, meaning for a loose wheel. Pierre Gasly, the other Toro Rosso, lap 13 retirement. Where have we heard this before? Honda power unit failure. So that means he's already gone through 1 of his 3 engines this year. So we can expect penalties at some point, no doubt, for the Frenchman, which is such a shame for him. Marcus Ericsson and the other Sauber only got 5 laps. Decent weekend, nearly got out of Q1 as well for the Swedish driver, but hydraulic failure done him. And then finally, the last Williams, which was Sergei Sorokin. I can still not pronounce that name correctly. First retiree of the year, he only got 4 laps in his debut. The cause of retirement, brake failure, which was caused by a sandwich bag of some sort, or a plastic bag of some sort, getting into the rear brake duct, overheating the brakes, screwed up the hydraulics on it, and he had no brakes. So only 4 laps for the Russian in this race, so he'll be hoping for better next time out in Bahrain. So as I said earlier, tell me what your thoughts were below. I'd love to hear what you had to say. Follow me on Twitter as well. You see it on the screen. Same as my YouTube username, Andy81287. I'll interact with anyone as much as I can on there. Love chatting about the sport, as you know. So it'd be good to get some interaction going and get you guys talking about the sport we all enjoy. But that is it for today. We will be back for the review of the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, which is on April the 8th. A wee bit more of a more pleasurable time, shall we say, for the UK audience. Should be around about mid-afternoon start for that. First of the 2 night races as well, along with Singapore, so it should be fun and interesting. But as always, I thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and once again, if you do want to subscribe, please do so. If you have enjoyed listening, do hit the like button and leave your comments below of what you felt about the race and how you see the rest of the season shaping up. But for now, that's all from me. Until the next video, I'll see you soon. Ta-ra.